Hi there, Parker Layrisson here with Ponchatoula.com, and I'm excited here in our very first episode of Ponchatoula Live to have with me a very special guest, Mary Beth Crovetto.
Hi.
Mary Beth, would you please introduce yourself and tell folks what you are or who you are and what you do? There we have our first error on live Facebook. I can't even talk straight.
No,
Mary
that's
Beth
all right.
Crovetto, Principal, Ponchatoula Junior High, one of my favorite people in the world. Tell us a little about yourself, please.
Well, I'm Mary Beth Crovetto, and this is my 33rd year being an educator in Ponchatoula.
Wow.
So I am
Amazing.
proud principal at Ponchatoula Junior High School. I have been married 32 years to my college sweetheart, Kevin. And we have 3 kids, Greg, who's a teacher at Hammond High and a football coach. Mariana, who is now married. She just graduated Southeastern and lives at Fort Hood in Texas with her husband. And our youngest, Alexandra, is now a sophomore at Ruston, and she is now in pre-med.
Oh, wow. That's
have to be a
impressive.
principal
You've got
for
3 brilliant kids.
Yeah, but she's going to make me work a little longer to have to get a medical school deal
A
going.
lot
But
more
that's okay.
tuition
I'm
with
good
that,
with that.
than Coach Greg. But as I recall, your oldest, Greg, worked for me for 4 years. And so I recall he had excellent grades. I mean, he was an incredible student. And
He's
then
brilliant.
my recollection is Mariana came along and said, I got to do better than Greg to shut him up. And she did. And Alexandra came along, and here she is pre-med. So
Yeah.
congrats on that. You're living at home what you're teaching at school there. I mean, to create
Oh,
such
that's
three
sweet.
great students, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Tell us about your history in education. Obviously, you have a son who's a teacher and coach, you mentioned. You and your husband are both educators as well. But you're not the first educators in your family, right? Tell us about the rich tradition you have in your family.
Yeah, well, it started with my Aunt Rose, who was in the first class of Southeastern College in 1925. And she was a beloved teacher in Hammond for many, many years. And she was from the era of when you were teaching, she wasn't married, because once you got married, you didn't teach anymore, you didn't work anymore. So she's from
That's
that
old
long
school.
tradition. And then my mom and dad were both educators. They met at Southeastern, and dad was principal at Hammond High and served on the school board for 16 years. My mom was principal at Hammond Eastside and for at least 10 years. And then my brother just retired as principal of Walker Junior High, and his wife is a teacher. Well, now she's a curriculum consultant at Albany Elementary.
Okay.
Stepmom was a teacher. Stepdad was a
Wow.
principal. Husband's a teacher.
I didn't know about the Walker connection. My wife Brandy works out in the Walker school. She's at the
he
high
was
school.
I call it Walker West Side, but that's not. It's West Side Junior High in Walker.
Okay,
My brother spent his whole 33 years in Livingston also.
Yeah, that community's growing so fast. I think they've already outgrown that giant new high school they just built.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's so neat. So you're at least the 3rd principal in your family. And of course, I knew your mother. She was such a wonderful woman. What a personality she had.
Yeah, she was.
I know she was virtually famous around here for taking care of people, taking poor kids from her classroom or her school and taking care of them. And of course, your dad's a local legend. Everybody knows Coach Link. He was principal forever and a school board leader.
Or Uncle Al, as some of them called him.
Right. I know I've been looking up to him literally and figuratively my whole life, but it's always fun to see him and his gang and the breakfast group at Lee's. So then one of the neat things about that story that I love is that you take some of the cornerstones of Hammond, and they have to watch their pride and joy, their baby girl, come to Ponchatoula, the bitter rival of Coach Al Link. And here you are. You mentioned 33 years later. You couldn't be more bleeding green at this point. Then that must really be tough on him, huh?
Yes, he still kind of gives me a little mess about it, but he was very happy. I couldn't stay at Hammond High with him, so I came.
Can he rub it in when Greg went back and became a Hammond High tornado?
Can you believe? Oh, he loves it. Yes, he loves it. Seeing his grandson in purple and white. Yeah. Greg wears all those shirts with tours on it and all, and I'm just like, it just blows my mind. But he loves it.
I remember you telling me last time we spoke that your dad would never wear a Ponchatoula Green Wave shirt. He would come, and of course he was a good grandfather. He'd watch his kids play, come to their events. but the only way he was wearing green is if it was a Southeastern shirt, not a
That's
Ponchatoula shirt.
absolutely true. Yes. He never missed a game, I think, from Greg,
Yeah.
4 years up through his junior year in high school. Never missed a game, and always wore
Wow.
green
Wow.
Southeastern, not green
Yeah.
Ponchatoula.
Well, speaking of, the rich Ponchatoula Hammond rivalry and the tradition, you're there in what is, basically the crown jewel building of the Tangipahoa school system,
It
Ponchatoula
still
Junior
is.
High. Yeah,
Mhm.
tell us about, we'll start with the building, and of course we're going to get to the wonderful things you and your faculty are doing. But why don't you tell us a little bit about Ponchatoula Junior High School and its history? It's best known as the old high school building, but tell us about where you are, the specific room you're in even, and maybe folks who went there can think about the good old days and wonder where you're sitting right now.
Okay, so this building was built in 1923, and
Mhm.
it is just the jewel of the parish, in my opinion. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And to think that in 1923, the people of Ponchatoula had so much vision to design this building. It has a 2-story auditorium, beautiful auditorium with a balcony,
Sure.
and had a science lab in the basement. And this, where I am now, was part of I'll call it the commons area. Right outside these windows is where the steps were to one building, and then one entry, and then the other steps go into the other entry. And this was a large commons area. Mr. Butler's office was, first it was Mr. Butler, then Bodker.
Yeah.
Upstairs, second floor, that's now the library. And then the
Okay.
library was up on the 3rd floor, which is now the computer lab. But this building is the 7th grade building.
Okay.
And then we have 2 new buildings behind it after the fire in 96 or 95. The 2 buildings behind it are now the 8th grade buildings. And what I found funny was our teachers were teaching the kids how to use the Chromebooks at the beginning of the year, how to use their emails. And so they asked the kids to send me an email and tell me what one thing they like about Ponchatoula Junior High. And so I'm reading through them, and so many of the kids said the stairs. The stairs. I always tell them, quit running down the stairs, quit jumping down the stairs.
Sure.
But I thought about it, and they go to every school. Perrin, Tucker, Reeves, Vineyard, no stairs. All
Yeah,
one
you're the
level
only
buildings,
school
and
around
high
with
school's
stairs.
one level. So this is like the only one where, and of course, boys see a stairway and it's like, woo, they got to jump, see how far they can go. But it's beautiful in this building. And I get so many stories. A number of times I walk outside to the gate, and there's people, they always are exercising or walking by, and they'll stop and
I
tell
walked
me
by
a
there
story.
this morning. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Everybody has a story. And I say, come on in. You want to tour it, you want to tell me about it, and we'll do. Now, I haven't been able to do that this year. I was able to do that for a while, but I can't bring people in without.
Well, tell us about that. Obviously, this year is different from any of the 32 years before this for you, education-wise.
Absolutely.
What are the challenges you guys are facing with COVID, and how are y'all dealing with that and overcoming it?
I really thought it was going to be very tough, but it's kind of sad to say the kids are used to it now. It's part of their life, and they're not resisting like I thought they would. I think that they're young, and they're kind of like, this is what they have to do. They have their masks, and they even have extra masks. The parents have put them in their bag. When somebody comes on campus, we have to take their temperature. So we have people at the bus shed and at the carpool and at the front entrance that as they come in the morning, we take everybody's temperature, even the teachers, the administrators, everyone.
So let's use that as a way to let folks know how many people are at your school now. I mean, how many temperatures a day are we taking? What's your student count?
Well, I have a student body of about 850, and about 150 of them are on virtual learning. Okay. So I'd say 700 kids. And then when you count the faculty, the staff, the cafeteria, you're looking at another 100. So I guess about 800 people a day coming in and out. And so everybody, each group of teachers, each classroom has spick and span, paper towels, disinfectant spray, hand sanitizer, trying to think, and masks, packs of masks if kids forget them. Okay. So as kids come in, we ask them to go immediately to the cafeteria, wash their hands because there's warm water, soap, paper towels in the cafeteria. And we still have free meals in Louisiana. So they come through and they wash, get their breakfast, and report immediately to their first hour. So up to this point, kids used to either have time in the commons area or out at recess or go in the gym or in the auditorium, but not anymore. So they have to go straight to their classroom. And after they eat, they have to clean everything down, clean down their desks, get the hand sanitizer, throw their paper products away. My custodians come through and clean all that up.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. I mean, this is so much new work. Or do you have extra custodians this year, or is it the same old crew that just has to do that much more?
Same crew. They are working so hard. And then the kids are in class and they switch everything up. And then every 2 hours, you'll see a custodian with the spick and span and the paper towels, and they wipe down the entire school every 2 hours. So 3 times a day, our school is getting wiped down. And then at 4 o'clock, a custodian goes through the entire school with a fogger that has the disinfectant on it. So the teachers have been given bags and drop cloths to cover their smart boards and their computers at the end of the day. And then we fog the halls in the classrooms, the cafeteria, to sit at night before the kids come back in. So, and then we do switch classes. Now there's some principals who have chosen to do static, where the kids stay in the room all day and the teachers move. But, you know, we're larger than some of the area high schools at 850. You know, we're larger than some of them. So I can't sit them in the room all day because say they're in English first hour, some of them will move to math, some to choir, some to algebra 1. They take their math 8 and their algebra 1, whatever, and it wouldn't work. So we've just asked the students to single file, walk in the halls. When they get to the end of the hall, like say their classroom is across the hall from where they are, they can't just cross the hall. They have to go down the hall, come around in that single line, and then enter the building. And that way they're not crisscrossing each other, they're single file. And then at lunch, we let them go down, have a little recess, but they have to stay in their pod from the class. We have 8 recess spots. And just to get some fresh air, talk a little bit, they keep their masks on. Then they go through, wash their hands again, get a lunch, go back to the classroom, eat, clean up again, dump it again. Custodians come through. And then we make it to the end of the day, and we're having to space.
And then you just fall out and pass out from being so tired, I'm sure.
We are all very tired. Yes, it's just a constant battle of, did you check the temperature? Where's your mask? I mean, use your hand sanitizer, just to keep them going. But it's more for the adults to learn it, because the kids, it's become their life.
Sure.
And well, so
this is their new normal, and it sounds just dreadful compared to the experience you had or I had when we were in junior high school.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this: are the kids happy to be back in spite of all this, or is it, oh no, man, this is the worst?
Wow.
What's their attitudes
are great. Yeah.
Really?
They are so happy.
Great.
They have said that, because I say, oh, I'm just so happy to have y'all back. I'm happy to see you. The teachers are happy to see their kids, and they all say, oh yeah, I wanted to come back. And now I'm having more and more parents call to take their children off of virtual and send them back to school. They just said, this is not working. We need them with the teacher. We need them socializing. And I said, I agree. I promise to do the best I can to keep the environment clean and safe for them, but send them back, because they need a teacher. Even my strong students, who are good students that are on, they can do it online. It's not going to be a problem. But you know, there's so much more to school besides the work.
Yeah. Well, I know, you know, my older boy is in pre-K 4 now, and he's blessed to live next door to his teacher, who he loves. This is Michelle Sellers, the, you know, longtime pre-K teacher and daughter of Diane Milton, who everybody knows, and was a longtime educator. And I know he's just dying to see her. We have to make rules about how he can't go next door and bug her too much on the weekends so she can get a break. But seeing how much he loves his teacher, wants to see his teacher, it must have been killing him to be away from you guys so much. So it's good to hear y'all are back. And I'm really, quite frankly, surprised, if not shocked, to hear how well a bunch of 7th and 8th graders are responding to these draconian measures. That's really encouraging. So a lot of us old timers with gray in the beard like to whine about how everything's going to hell in a handbasket, and the youngsters with their devices just don't get it. What I'm hearing from you really runs counter to that. It sounds like we have a lot to be hopeful about.
Look, if you ever get in that mode, ride by here.
Yeah.
Right now, you can go in y'all don't have to come in, but ride by, and back at the football field, they're playing kickball. And it's like 1976 at lab school all over again, or whatever.
Yeah.
These kids are loving kickball. They can't even dress out for PE. That's not allowed. So they're in their uniforms, sweating,
right,
and playing kickball like
Well, I'm so glad you mentioned that. I noticed that this morning when I was walking by, walking in between Tucker and the junior high. They were out there, and it did bring back some great memories.
Hooping and hollering, huh?
Speaking of the good old days, one of the old 1990s students that I went to school with has commented here. That's Jeremy Pelche, Captain Jeremy Pelche with the fire department. Says Mrs. Crovetto is doing a great job at Ponchatoula Junior High School. So that's one of the neat things about a live show is we can get some feedback in real time.
Yeah, his son Ethan is here this year, and Jeremy always comes in and checks on us.
Jeremy's great. I love it when he goes to he and the other firemen go to the schools to educate them. Last year he let my boys wear his helmet, and they took photos with it. And his wife's a sweetheart. She takes great care of my boys. It's just a great family. He was 1 year behind me at PHS, so we've been buddies ever since. That's great. That's neat.
And I'm on speed dial with Bree. Bree and Mayor Zabia. Like I needed a slag for my carpool line. I just text Mayor Zabia, and a truck is out there in about 10 minutes. I'm
that's
like,
great.
I know I'm using my people here, but I got to get it done. So
there's no better use for that slag than taking care of the kids in the schools. So that's great.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about other things y'all have going on, because I know you're one of the few schools, junior high schools, that's allowed to play football this season. So that's a big positive. Tell us a little about that.
Well, the parish gave us the option as principals if you wanted to do the sports. So there's a number of schools in the parish that are not going to. Mm-hmm. But I talked to my coaches, and I was like, guys, if we can stay clean, if we can keep things sanitized and follow the rules, you think we can carry this out? And every one of them wanted to do it. So I do have volleyball, and they actually won yesterday against Hammond Eastside, and they won Monday.
Neat. Mm-hmm. I hope you called your dad to rub it in, and your son Greg.
No, I haven't called them yet. But
I'll take care of Greg. You just focus on Mr. Al. I'll take care of Greg.
He'll have some smart aleck answer. But they asked I thought we were going to have a football season. I didn't know that it would be tough, but we can't play any outside schools, and we always have outside schools calling us. We've had a number of schools from other parishes call to play us, but we can't play them. And then the only middle schools playing football are mine, Sumner, Neeson, and LaRondra. So we're going to play everybody twice.
So you made the Final Four. That's great.
Yeah, we'll play one home and one away with that same team. And cool. We have 25% capacity. Everybody's going to have their temperature taken, have a mask, use hand sanitizer. But we're going to do it. You got to have something for the kids to hang on to, and you can use sports, you can use clubs, you can use whatever you need to use to motivate them is very, very important.
And it's such a historic field back there where they're playing, right there on campus, right here in town.
Oh yeah.
It brings back memory. If you're my age, you probably grew up playing little league ball there, little conference, junior conference. If you're my father's age, you played there at PHS, and now the junior high's played there for years. So it's a great old field, and that's neat. But the sports are not the only thing positive happening at the junior high. Tell me a little bit about Tula Cares. Ponchatoula Live, Ponchatoula Podcast. When we hear about a club called Tula Cares, that we just want to come out of our shoes with excitement. So tell me about what that's all about and what's happening there.
Well, when I first came here as principal, I did tell the teachers that one of my goals was to increase activities on campus. That was one of the really positive aspects of Ponchatoula High School, was that everybody could find a place. If it was FFA or wood shop or sports or science club, something. There was art, home ec, something. So I said, we really need to broaden what we have to offer the kids, because not everybody's an athlete, not everybody's a scientist. And so two former students who are now teachers for me, Miss Vicki Dirks and Wendy Carr, came to me and they said, we really would like to do something. It kind of started out as, because they're huge animal lovers, it kind of started out as the Care Club or the Tula Cares Club. They were going to teach the kids about respecting animals, spay and neuter,
Wonderful.
Collect food. It was great. But then the kids started coming up with ideas for helping. Maybe there was a widow about 2 blocks away. They took a field trip. They walked the 2 blocks, did her yard and all that. Then they heard the church across the street was doing the Samaritan's Purse. So they went over there and helped them wrap those up to send, and just started finding things, and they became Tula Cares. And so they were asked to go speak at Kiwanis, and the Kiwanis loved it, loved the idea, and asked them to join Kiwanis and become a builders club. So now
so builders club is, it's like the pre-Key Club, right? The younger club that feeds into Key Club. Okay.
So it's Tula Cares Builders Club, and it's to get the kids started in service projects, service learning, and then with the idea that when they go to Ponchatoula High, they will segue into the Key Club.
Right. Now, I know you and we're members of Rotary, and that's a friendly rival of Kiwanis. But we got to give them some props there. They were really on top of their game to adopt such a neat club.
They scooped it before I even thought of it. Yeah.
Well, that's because you're so busy running this school with 800 people on campus every day.
Yeah.
You can't do it all. So that's
you can't say it's a bad thing that the kids have a service club with the local Kiwanis, you know.
Right. We don't feel too bad. You know, we have this rivalry, and I'll never forget. You know, I grew up in the Key Club system. As you know, your dear friend and my mentor and close friend, Danny Williams, who's still, involved with the Key Club, but he was my sponsor, and I was the president, and was very involved in that. But then my mom, who was in the Rotary with you, wasn't going to let me become a Kiwanian. So, I joined the Rotary, and that was a quote unquote loss for Key Club. But then they got us back and got my brother Bree in their club. So there's always this give and take with those clubs. So they got us there. We'll have to come up with a bright idea to get them next.
Yes. I mean, that's a good problem to have, that we're all competing with each other for service to our community,
Exactly. Yeah. It's like a drum major's instinct thing where people are using that energy in a positive direction to serve the community. That's cool. Well, what about the Buddy Club? That's another neat club, y'all.
And the Buddy Club was recognized by Governor Edwards' wife, Donna Edwards, last year. She presented them with special pins. The Buddy Club was thought by a little girl named Maggie Murky, who came to me. Her mother works at Options, and she came to me and her 7th grade year and said, I'd like to start a club where the regular ed students partner with the special needs students, and we will take field trips and do art projects and PE with them and just be there for them, sit with them at lunch, anything like that. And I said, I think that's great. So they really took off with that. They went and found sponsors and did a lot of activities with them. And then last year I was invited to go with them, to go to the governor's mansion and see my students, get awarded for service to their peers.
What a great idea by her, and support by you to make it happen. And then for the governor, the first lady, to take their time to recognize her and give her the due recognition. That's amazing. That really touches my heart, especially as a guy who, is married to a woman who works in the special education field out in Livingston Parish. That's important. Those kids they're so often overlooked, especially by other students in some instances.
And in your generation,
that's neat.
When you went through school, they were separated.
Right.
Special needs were separated from regular, and but now it's diverse, it's inclusion. And when you talk about these kids these days are serving. They're much more compassionate. They're diverse. They're they have a really good head on their shoulders.
Thank God, because my friends and we were heathens. So it's good to hear that you guys have got them whipped into shape. You were more of a rookie teacher when I came through the ranks,
Yeah, I was baby.
You were great to me, but let's be real. You didn't straighten me out any.
Nope. You were already straight when I got you. You were great.
Well, look, speaking of, family, your family has recently had the opportunity to do something really unique for our area, and that's go on Family Feud, right?
Yeah.
I think just this week, or you're able to now, publicly announce what happened long ago, which is you went on the show. Tell us about that experience.
Well, years ago, I went on Wheel of Fortune, and that was a process. I mean, it took a year to get on. But my kids had begged me, because I am a game show fanatic. I'm just all of them I love. So we're up at Ruston going to watch my daughter dance at one of the football games. So we had to hang out at the hotel that afternoon. And I didn't know it, but Mariana had logged in, and she completed an application for us to audition for Family Feud. And she really wrote it up and embellished all the stuff that we did and about her dad and Greg and us. And we got an email saying, we'll be in New Orleans at Thanksgiving. We'd love to meet you. Come audition. And so that was last November of 2019. So we were like, wait a minute, what? She's like, yeah, I filled it out. We're going to go. And everybody was up for it. And my husband was like, wait a minute, I don't do game shows. We're like, look, we got to have 5.
You got Kevin Crovetto on there. That's quite a task.
Yeah, come to find out, they really like the nuclear families. They really like to showcase a nuclear, like the original pack. Because
mom, dad, and 2.5 kids. That's Crovetto.
Yeah, because they said the dynamic is so different than like cousins and uncles and aunts and so forth. So they liked it, and it's a dynamic, because we were nuts. And there was like a team we played, the mama had 10 kids. I don't know how they chose the 4 boys to be on it, but another of them had 7. And
that's a separate reality show, with the how to make the Final Four and get on the show with mom and dad.
So we went down there last Thanksgiving to New Orleans, and oh my gosh, had a blast. And I have to tell Kevin to focus, because my husband, fortunately, he finds me quite entertaining. There'll be some.
We all do, Mary Beth.
No, not everybody. Some people are like, oh, I got to get away from this woman. But he's one that's like, oh, put on the show. So he doesn't. Sometimes he's so busy being entertained by his children and his wife, he might lose a little focus of what he's supposed to do.
Right.
So, but he didn't on the audition. He was on it, and we had a blast. And so they sent us an email and said we'd be going to Los Angeles to film. And we were just at Easter. We picked Easter since we're off from school. And then we got the note saying, we are closed for COVID. We will not be filming. We'll let you know. We were just devastated.
I bet. What a bummer.
How do you get on? So then they decided to move Family Feud to filming in Atlanta at the Tyler Perry Studios. Beautiful facility. Amazing. And so we said, yeah, we can come. We'll come. So in August, we signed up, and they flew us all out there, but we had to go early. We had to go 3 days early. We flew out on a Friday after school because we had to be COVID tested and wait 2 days to get the results.
Okay.
Don't let you go to the studio until you're clear from COVID.
So no 15-minute test and a check of a temp. You gotta do it the old swab.
We had to do the full on, and then wait till we got on. And so then we all got cleared, thank goodness. And just, we put it on. When I'm telling you, when these shows come on, we are good TV. We are.
Well, I know you can't tell us about the results and what you won, but one secret's out, and that's that you're on multiple episodes, right?
Yeah, that's about the only thing. I asked if I could tell that secret.
We'll let the readers, the viewers and listeners read between the lines to know what that means. Tell us about Tyler Perry Studios, because that's giant. Doesn't he have a dozen or so shows in the works? Tell us about that.
It's at a former Army base in Atlanta, and he's totally remodeled all of it. And he has at least 10 sound stages, and each one's named for a famous actor, actress. There's the Oprah Winfrey Studio, the Will Smith, Cicely Tyson. He honors all his those legends. And that whole sound stage was the Family Feud stage. And they told us next week is their last week of filming, and they'll take it all down, ship it all back to California in case it opens again next season when it starts up again in March. But it is beautiful. There's even a life-size, I don't know if it's life-size or 1-to-1 ratio of a model of the White House, because one of his TV shows is filmed in so it's a complete replica of the White House. It looks like you're driving past the White House right there in Atlanta.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And
Well,
it
I
was
got an
just great.
update. Speaking of your kids and your family, Mariana has jumped on to say whoop whoop go mama. So I don't know if she's your favorite kid every day, but she's your favorite kid right now, I hope, because she's
She's a
taking
great,
care to
yeah.
support you even on the Ponchatoula live show. And we
It,
also want to thank Valerie Bonacard Carpenter for coming on and watching and commenting. We
great.
really appreciate you guys tuning in for our first show here.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit. You've done the Wheel of Fortune experience. So you've seen Pat Sajak in action. You've seen Steve Harvey. What can you tell us about those guys? I mean, we grew up with them.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
they just feel like they're part of our families. They're so well known. What's
Well,
that been like?
Pat Sajak was very nice, but aloof.
Okay.
He's just now Vanna White. She stayed with us, talked with us. She was just precious. But
Yeah.
in between each commercial break, Pat would walk away and go take a sip of water or talk to the producer,
Sure.
and then he'd come back on right when the cameras would come on. And that was fine because I was just awestruck looking at him,
Yeah.
happy to be there. But Steve Harvey is the most personable, outgoing. He is on from the moment he walks out. He's
Yeah.
cutting up. He's telling stories. He's connecting with us.
Engaging with all of you guys.
Constant. And then on
That's
commercial breaks, he steps out from where we are as the players and steps to the audience and basically does one of his comedy shows. And then he
That's so
steps
cool.
back. So what they had told us before we went, they said, just know we only film 4 a day. And we're like, 4, we had to get there at 8 in the morning and you didn't get home till 8 at night. So how are you only filming 4 shows? Well, he gets on a roll and he starts cutting up. And of course, he and Greg are playing off each other and he's cutting up with the other players. And so it takes about 2 hours to film a 22-minute show. And,
well, I know your son Greg can cut it up because working with him for 4 years, I got to see him in action. And he's so funny. Even after he retired and went on to bigger and better things as an educator, we would invite Greg back every year for our Christmas party just so he'd come in and tell some jokes and tell some stories, even though he wasn't at the firm anymore. So, yeah,
well,
he's got your gift of gab.
Mariana and Alexandra together. All of them are outgoing and funny. And he knows how to get his sisters because he's the big brother.
Right.
So he knows how to egg them. And then they start. And then Kevin starts fussing at
them. So it's
them.
pouring rocket fuel on top of gasoline, on top of gunpowder, right?
I'm just going to tell you, they loved us. I mean, that's all I can say. Of course, I love my children. I love my husband. But it was nice that, like, the producers and Steve Harvey and all were like, come on, y'all. You've got this. You know it. You can do this. And we were like, I promise we're trying. And they're like, you got to get serious. And Greg's like, listen, I am serious. This is me serious. And they're like, they were wanting us to win so bad because we just and we were not always well behaved. Sometimes we were fussing at each other or
you're keeping it real.
We're very real, and I guess I don't realize how entertaining that is when you get a mama up there and she thinks her babies are perfect and they're they're sparring with each other. There was one time when Kevin was trying to think of an answer and he was focused. And Alexander,
he's intense, man. Mr.
He's
Kevin,
intense. He's trying to get that answer, and it's and the producer says 3 seconds, and Alexander goes, "Just say something!" And she just yells at him. And Steve Harvey was like,
"His baby girl,
calm down." But she's very competitive. They are all very competitive. So it was great fun.
So when will they air? Will this be November, December? When can we look for them? Where can we watch?
We've got one, and I guess I can say this. There was one, our first one, and we thought we did great. Okay. Didn't go as well as we had hoped. And we thought we were done. And the producer followed us backstage and she said, I love your family. You make for great TV. We want you to stay and try again. So
when you went there, you didn't know you'd be in multiple shows, but they liked what they saw. So they said, give us some more. We need some more Crovetto in our life.
So then we were putting it on. Cool. We were like, hey, we're going to go with it.
Well, you're drumming up interest because people are commenting online. My old classmates from school, Kelly Brandon and Matt Cox, both wrote in, can't wait to watch. And I'm sure there are many more. So
Yeah.
This is exciting. Maybe Ponchatoula can do a viewing party. Like, they filmed a movie right there in your school a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And we did a big viewing party out in the park. Maybe we can watch you guys in a nice socially distanced outdoor screen.
I think that we behaved enough that, we can actually do that, because I apologized to my pastor before I left. I said, it is Family Feud, and sometimes there's some things, and I said, but I promise you we'll tithe if we win anything, and so that we can, God will forgive us if we have to say any risque answers.
Sure.
So there was a couple of times where, but a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do. But
I can't wait to see Mama Crovetto in action with your wild bunch. I'm sure it's a blast. It is,
and it's not easy.
Oh,
it looks easy when you're watching it.
Yeah.
It is so intense, and you're trying to think of an answer that's not going to make you look stupid. You're trying to beat that other team. You want to, and they're coming at you, and they're and the other team's looking. It's just crazy, and you're trying to think, and sometimes you just say things, and you go, "What?" But it's a game of luck, because it really depends on who gets the right answer, and who gets at the end, who gets the points.
Right. And this all went down before you became famous as the modern day Mr. Rogers, right? So they didn't even know what they were getting.
But they got that video and
really?
It. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, tell us about that. So for our listeners and viewers, they probably all saw this, but in case they didn't, in a brilliant stroke of Welcome Back to School, you channeled my childhood hero, Mr. Rogers. And tell us about that, what you did and how far it went, because this truly went worldwide viral.
And of course, it's always something that you don't mean for that to happen. But my assistant principal, Dr. Lisa Grow, is really good with technology and does editing, film editing. She used to do it at Amite Elementary. She made videos, music videos with the kids. And so being in the pandemic, she said, why don't we do like a little tour of the school for our new students? And just kind of make our way through the school, showing the kids where things are, introducing them to teachers. And we did that. We did a whole film of touring the school, and we bump into teachers who weren't doing their proper social distancing, or, they had their mask on, look how they're following the rules, stuff like that. So much fun. The teachers loved it. Everybody was into it.
Yeah, it sounds fun.
And she said, I think we need an introduction to the tour. What do you think we need to do? And I said, well, I'll just sing a song, because if anybody knows me, anybody listening,
I was your drama student. I know you and how much you love to sing. And for good reason. You're very talented.
A ditty person. I know every commercial, every Broadway show. I love songs, singing, whatever. Of course, Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers, and all that. So I said, well, Dr. Grove, let's do something like, I could do something like It's a Beautiful Day at the Junior High. And she's like, okay. And so I just wrote it out.
You just made the lyrics up on the spot.
Just made the lyrics out, and she pulls up on her phone the accompaniment. And puts it on her little speaker in front of the light where I can hear it. And I just said, let me act like I'm reading this book. And the book was Harry Wong's First Day of School that all the teachers had to read years ago. And so it was upside down, because I was thinking, just being silly. And sang the song. We did that in one take on that day. And everybody's like, how do you do it? How do you do it? Well, that I can do. Don't have me take a math test. Don't give me robotics. But let me sing a song. I got that. So we sung.
Well, in fairness, you were a drama teacher, not a physics teacher. We don't expect you to do it all just because you're the boss of all the teachers.
Everybody has their strengths.
Right.
My husband can build a house. I can write a song.
Exactly.
So Dr. Grove goes to convert it to put on the website for the kids, and the first video of the tour won't convert. We brought it to the technological genius, Juanita Lee. She can't get it to convert. There is no tour. But she had filmed the intro on a different phone, and it loaded right up. So they didn't even tell me. Juanita just said, I love this. Let's put it on. And Juanita uploaded it. So that's why everybody's like, well, let's go see what's going, because I say, let's go see what's going on. And they're like, well, you never
Right.
took us to see. I'm like, well, because I didn't have the video and it didn't convert. and just to be clear, I don't even know what it didn't convert means. I just know that there's no video.
Well, are there any conspiracy theories going around that maybe you just decided to cut out all your other teachers and become a star on your own? Was this a nefarious plan here?
If that was started, I don't know who would have started that.
If it hasn't started yet, I'm going to start. I was always the mischief maker as your student.
Yeah, you were.
I think it's only fitting 25 years later that I keep it up. So
I've got an administrative team now that those poor guys. Dr. Grove's pretty much up for anything because she was elementary for many years.
Right.
And I have two assistant principals, Louis Joseph's son, Ryan Joseph, and Dr. Keith Sanders, and they just die whenever we get an idea. Because like we started the first day of school for the teachers, we did a luau theme, like we're going to, and so we had the little headbands with the little boppers on it, and we wore our Hawaiian shirts. Dr. Sanders always has on his dress shirt and his bow tie, and he was like, my school picture is going to be a Hawaiian shirt. And I say, yeah, that's the point. We're going. So they get on board now because they kind of realize, hey, she's crazy. We got to do it. So
yeah. Well, you guys y'all have amassed a real talented cast down there. I mean, Mr. Joseph's one of my heroes. What a legendary educator he was. You have his son working with you.
Oh, he's fabulous.
And I mean, it's all-star. Juanita Lee, you mentioned, went to school with her. She's brilliant. It's really, y'all put together quite the team.
I've got Danny Dunn. He graduated with Greg in 2010 from Ponchatoula High. He's my head basketball coach now.
Yeah.
I hired Nate Kelly when I came, and he
I love Nate. What a fun guy.
He's
so
wonderful.
Sharp.
2011 graduate of Ponchatoula High.
He's got an infectious, uplifting type personality.
And the kids love him. I've got James Square, who actually retired as the band director of Ponchatoula High, and he's come back. And he is working with my we're trying something different. We've merged our special ed kids with some of our regular classes and have team teaching going on to immerse them in the core curriculum and just try. And Mr. Square is a key component to that success. And I'm just surrounded. I could just keep going. I'm just surrounding myself.
Well, everybody wants to work for you because they know that you love the kids first and foremost, and you're going to do the work. You're not going to sit back and delegate and drink lattes all day. And we just respect you. You've served our community for a long time, and you deserve it. Well, I've kept you longer than promised, so I will let you get back to your students.
Okay.
But before we go, is there anything else you'd like to share with our community about what you're doing, what's on your mind, just anything?
I appreciate the support. I have so much support in Ponchatoula. You're one of our sponsors, First Baptist Church, the Mission Church, First United Methodist Church. Mark Verbois, every so often he sends me a message saying, if a kid needs something, let me know. They'll have it.
You know, Mark's involved with Ponchatoula.com. He's my right-hand man. This is there's a no-profit, passion play here. So
I just appreciate it. The parents want their kids here. They trust me. I really love that. I'm like, you trust me, I'm going to take care of them. We're going to do this together. It's a partnership. Right. And that's one thing I learned. If someone wanted to give a little more, if we're already doing that, like my firm, or if somebody's new to town and would like to get involved, how could they help you? What's the best way to go about that? Well, they can email me or give at mary.crovetto@tangschools.org or call the school. Just call the school. It's probably easier to look that up. Perfect. And we'll, last year we had the meals. The kids could get the backpacks on Friday, and there would be food in it for the weekend. And then they return the backpack on Monday, and the church, First Baptist across the street, would fill it. But then it got a number of sponsors. There was other churches and other businesses that got involved. And so those kids that probably wouldn't have food over the weekend would have that. And nobody would know because it was a backpack.
That's great.
Anything like that, we get a lot of help. We really do. I love what I do. I hope to get to do it for many more years. And I love Ponchatoula.
You're the best.
Love my kids.
Thank you so much. God bless you and Kevin and all the kids. Please give them my love. And to those of you watching or listening, thank you for supporting Ponchatoula.com and the Ponchatoula Live Show. And we want to thank our very first guest, Mary Beth Crovetto. Thank you all.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.